Welcome back to the last best of 3 of OPL Week 1, where Legacy just picked up a win against Direwolves in what is a semi-final rematch. Want to get the results up on your screen quickly for you. It was a 3-1 to Legacy, and this has been a pretty established rivalry now. They've met it a couple of times in the finals. Direwolves coming out ahead once, Legacy coming out ahead a couple of times now, and it just looks like Direwolves, they're not thriving in the chaos that we're used to seeing. Legacy are playing a methodical game and kind of pulling them around to the parts of the map that they want.
And you know what? That's surprising because during Split 1, Direwolves, they were able to take games to the Chiefs in the regular season. They were able to take games to Sin and were able to pull off these upsets and these comebacks that they were very well known for during the regular season. But every single time they played up against Legacy, they just tore them apart piece by piece and showed them who was the superior team in the matchup. Seems like they're going to do the same thing here in Split 2.
My opinion of the Direwolves has always been that they have a really high mechanical ceiling, but the consistency to hit that ceiling is just, as you would say, chaos. They either play phenomenally or they completely drop the ball, and unfortunately I think we saw the latter that time around.
All right, so now, big question, right? Legacy, obviously, they're going to play a team fighting comp. We know what they look like. They want to be in a 5v5 situation. We saw the Kindred. We saw the Janna. Great reset potential in that comp. I liked it. When you look at the side of Direwolves, they had a good 1-3-1 comp. They could still pull people around the map. They had the double teleport for flanks. What would you change? What didn't work specifically? Was it a composition? Was it just the early advantage that they gave over in that mid lane?
Yeah, I think the big issue is whenever you look at a 1-3-1 comp, if you're not ahead or even, which unfortunately Fizz got put behind, he wasn't as successful in that split push as he probably could have been if he wasn't facing across from a red buff Victor. As far as adjustments, it's hard to say. Obviously, when you have a hard reset like Janna, it's going to punish a pick like Fizz who wants to get to that backline. But more importantly, again, like Maokai, Fizz, both are going to be countered by the Monsoon, but we still didn't even have Chippies try to execute on being the leading initiative into these team fights. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think you need to clean up execution before you even start looking at changing up champion picks, although I'm sure that we'll see some adjustments from mid lane.
I'd honestly like to see Direwolves go into a standard lane matchup, 1-1-2. My opinion, the reason why I say this is, although you did mention during the break that they did have a good advantage when it went into that matchup, they were able to take down 4 turrets to 2 and get a very early gold lead. I feel like Direwolves will be able to find more skirmishes and more picks when they go into those standard lanes. And I also want to see if their bottom lane can test the laning mechanics from Minky. Yes, he played a fantastic game, had great team fights. I want to see if they can test him in the lane and take the game to them early.
And we saw this a little bit at MSI, and now it's continuing into the OPL season. Teams look to be not as proactive at level 1. They're not really looking for deep vision and things like that. Is it just because people are expected to go towards standard lanes? Like, what is it exactly behind this? Or is it just teams being lazy?
Are you referring to a blind invade?
Yeah, just blind
or
invading.
blind lane swap. When I spoke to Carbon about this over the International Wildcard Tournament, he theorized that taking a blind lane swap, like if you deep invade for the vision and place it, you're 100% going to get the lane swap. But it's not so much about making sure that you're getting the 2v2 or the 2v2 matchup you want. It's about denying the jungler. So if you lane swap blind and your support invades on the jungler to figure out where he is, it's more about putting him down and tracking his movements rather than making sure that, okay, I got the 2v2 that I wanted.
Well, we'll see if they're able to keep down Sybil one more time in this game. The players are ready to jump onto Summoner's Rift for Game 2. So here is Rogi and Rusty to take us there.
Thanks, Spawn. And that was such an epic game 1 we got to witness. A lot of calculated aggression coming from Legacy, who seem to thrive in that chaos. Direwolves, though, not so much.
Well, that's the key word, right? Calculated aggression. They knew exactly how much they could take. Their team fights were unbelievable. There were so many praises that we could sing towards Legacy in that game number 1. And once again, so many problems that we can address for Direwolves in that game number 1. But this is just the way the Direwolves work. All of the first split, we saw them lose game number 1, come back in the second game and dismantle their opponents. I would not be surprised to see it now.
Well, let's see if that conditioning has worked. Get a feel for your opponents in that game number 1, then come out swinging in game number 2. Very similar bans as we're used to seeing for the majority of this night. Soraka, once again, Kuden, he's never going to see that, is he?
I don't think Kuden should ever see Soraka. Not that I think Soraka should ever be played in the League of Legends. If you're going to play a heal champion, make it a Nami or a Sona, which you know is a lot funner than that of the Soraka. But yes, he is a strong Soraka player, so get rid of it.
No worries. Looks like Direwolves will be following that up with the Azir ban. Not last and least, but last and very well deserved, rather.
Yeah, it's definitely deserved. So I had 3 things written down as things that they should have changed. Legacy's already done the favor of one of them for us. The other was going to be Janna. Take that away from Minky. Like, Minky's outright said he can play one champion. Well, get rid of that one champion. It's a defensive champion. Maybe force him to be a tank, something that he might be able to make mistakes on. Seriously, it's just hit the weakness in the team.
let's see if Direwolves have caught onto that train of thought here, going through their pick phase here. Maybe they're going to chuck it onto Kuden, but they've already wasted all their bans, so surely unless they want to pick the Janna, they're just going to give it over, right?
Yeah, so they're probably not going to pick the Janna for themselves. Legacy obviously having the option to if they wish, but you would assume the Victor and Lucian perhaps are the options they go towards. Given their last draft, though, Ezreal is King's favorite champion, I think it's safe to say.
Sure.
Victor is also choose. Kindred also a priority that you could take away from Sybil, so options are always going to lie in Legacy's hands with this red side first draft, having those two options there.
Direwolves have locked in that Trundle. It's either going to be a support or a top lane. It's always too early to say in the pick and ban phase, but Tally and Carbon, you mentioned how much King likes Ezreal, and we're going to see just why as they lock that one in, followed by the Graves.
Yeah, he likes it an awful lot. Mentioning champions to people, like Carbon really does like Graves, and we'll see how close to PvP Steos Carbon manages to stay as in the IWC foe. Sorry, Chiefs, for that one.
Well, let's have a look and see if Carbon has adopted that Machete 3 potion build.
The 3 potions,
yeah, rather than the refillable that haunted him throughout that entire tournament.
I've never seen so many rants from a single jungler about someone starting items.
It was excellent. There's always a bit of fun every time Steos was playing, but back in the Oceanic Pro League here, we got Direwolves taking on Legacy. Let's see what they pick up on the side of Direwolves. You mentioned just how valuable Lucian is to these teams, and the hover for Alistar here.
Yeah, Alistar's always worth considering. Braum as well are the two champions
yeah.
that Kuden would look towards if there is no Soraka available, naturally.
Surely you can't be that good at Soraka, right? It's
No
not
one
the
has-
hardest champion in the
Look,
world.
it's not hard. It also counters Ryze as well, so interestingly both banned, but it's not a hard champion to play. So being that good at Soraka is more of a positioning thing. And Kuden's renowned. Thank you, Ejim, for that initial interview where he sits really far back. And that suits Soraka.
Fair call. We see Legacy going to be looking through what to answer here with. Got 2 picks of their own. Haven't shown too much yet. Ezreal, very safe champion. The Kench, though. All right. Followed by the Fizz. Oh. Interesting, to say the least.
So the Tahm Kench to me is a support. And not only does Minky actually play that champion, I think it's actually a decent support at the moment in his current place. Being able to save 80 carries and your entire team actually complements quite well with a frontline dive, something like Fizz, because you can get in there and keep him alive after he's done his burst and let him reset those cooldowns and give it another go later. Still a strong draft here from Legacy and definitely flex intensive. Want to consider what it's capable of. Direwolves to answer.
You're exactly right here. The Kench and the Fizz can realistically go in any of those positions.
Well, knowing Legacy, the Graves can go top.
That's exactly right. Tally, no stranger to those carry-esque champions raise. Hovering that Twitch. Doubt we're going to see it since Lucian has already been locked in, but the Zac?
Yeah.
Sybil plays a mean Zac.
He does play a mean Zac. It's the Sybil special. Juve's the only other person, I believe, who has played that. And when the times are tough, you default to what your best is.
Makes sense.
And that's his.
Looks like we will be seeing Zac and Twisted Fate locked in here. Twisted Fate, of course, banned away in game number 1 by Legacy. So Fantix can have access to that one, but answering it with the Syndra. All right.
Yeah, so Syndra's had some small changes moving into this current patch, so you'll actually be able to have more balls around.
Sure.
I think the quote was just, there's just more balls everywhere in the current Syndra. I think they nerfed a bit more of the damage, so your Q no longer provides 15% extra damage on hit by itself.
Sure.
But they buffed its scaling, so
Okay.
building ability power is still going to be a valuable asset for Syndra. I think it's a net buff considering her entire kit alterations.
It's been quite a long time since I've seen Syndra play at such a high level of League of Legends, so really interested to see just what she can dish out. Not many members on Direwolves really have the ability to avoid her ultimate either. Like, she's going to click on someone and they're going to die.
Yeah, it'll be the Zonias from Fantix.
That's right.
Perhaps the only real thing. So yeah, her ultimate's always going to be relevant. Patrol Pole is on Legacy's team, and it is going to be going towards that top laner, Tally. We've seen one Fizz top lane already, and carry top, pseudo carry top, whatever you'd like to call it, Tally would prefer something that deals damage, that doesn't just absorb it.
And we saw how well he did on the Echo, and Fizz can build tanky, but no tank by his own means. Alrighty, guys, we are loading into game number 2 between Direwolves taking on Legacy. Remember to get vocal and tweet out hashtag DWWin if you support Direwolves or hashtag LGC win if you want the long-standing legacy to take it in a quick 2-0 sweep.
And Minky's showing that he's got more than Janna up his sleeve as well if we want to talk towards that. He's got the Tahm Kench, something that historically has been quite relevant for Minky Whale as a former top laner. And Direwolves, we've mentioned this before, coming into this second game, they're no slouches to comebacks.
A little bit of a sneaky secret pick out of Minky Whale, making everyone think he's a Janna one trick. Then all of a sudden he busts out Kench in game number 2.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how he goes. One of the few support champions as well that will take the top lane Keystone Mastery in the Grasp of the Undying. Him and Trundle, I believe, are the 2 supports that would.
No worries there. Looks like we see everyone just fanning out once again. You mentioned this is if we see a lane swap primarily. In last game, that's exactly what one of the teams did. Direwolves, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Legacy are actually the ones to put into effect. And the reason being, or the assumption being, that you can actually hide your 2v2 lane. And something that we even spoke to on the analyst desk, I think Fish mentioned it, is that they should be challenging the 2v2. And you know what? I agree with that. Legacy, if they're making active attempts towards wanting the lane swap, match it. Make sure they don't get the lane swap. Make them uncomfortable in something they don't want to do. Beat them at the game that they don't want to play.
We saw how well Raze did in the last game, just leaps and bounds ahead of King. Surely it was Legacy. That did end out the game, but Raze did a great job. Maybe saw that one, decided he will have a little hoedown here. As we see Fizz and Graves up in that top. Looks like we will be having standard lanes this time around.
You know what I saw the other day was a picture of the cosplay for Battle Bunny Urgot. I just wanted to put that into your mind. Moving on.
Next up is going to be Battle Bunny Kench.
We have to see the former first. And you don't want to see it. Don't Google it.
No worries, Rusty. I'll keep that one. I'll lock that one away in the vault, never to be seen again.
Tweet that at SpawnLol, actually, if someone has that picture. That'd be appreciated.
There you go. You see Minky Whale, he starts with that Devour, trying to chuck a few minions Ray's way. Make him pay.
Yeah, of course, having the Relic Shield, you would think helps Direwolves bottom lane a little bit, getting the health back to them. Minky used his aggressively early to push, but that's actually where they found an advantage because King can play more aggressively and more forward, as you have noted from him. Every time Kuden tries to last hit something, he was taking a shot to the face. And it's actually forced the Triumphant Roar level 2 from the Alistar.
The splash damage from that Devour is quite large when you look at it. Being able to hit the minions and then tag Raze with it as well.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot of damage though, I think is the thing to consider. It just adds the passive stack to them. So by spamming that, you're actually just using a cooldown that could be valuable to you. Because if the Alistar does his Headbutt Pulverize combo, which is one of the big reasons you would pick Tahm Kench to get your AD carry out of that, then you don't have that cooldown available.
Like you mentioned, Kuden did take that Triumphant Roar, so they are a little bit safe for now.
Yeah, fine to do now.
It's got a... Minion's not even blocking that, but yeah, the damage is basically non-existent.
It's negligible, yeah.
So not too much going on right now. Laners will lane as we see Minky Whale and King just doing what they can every now and again. Minky Whale chucks a minion over at the Direwolves bot lane, but one auto attack from a Doran's Ring Lucian and doesn't even exist.
Yeah, and whilst we're looking at this bottom lane, you know, not too heavy hitting as a 2v2. We have to naturally progress our eyes towards the jungle matchup, which at this stage, because nobody's ganked, that's a positive for Carbon. If that continues, always going to be a positive for Carbon. But because Sybil is now level 3, when he hits level 4, and when he hits level 5, he gets exponential increases to his ganking capabilities. And is always going to become more and more of a threat as time goes on, simply because that elastic slingshot range is unreasonably large. The higher level it goes, and you max it first.
He's already gone back and picked himself up his jungle item as Carbon, going for some nice deep wards already. Does get spotted out. The Curse of Graves not able to kill the wards quick enough, as we see Sybil, you mentioned just how strong level 4 is. Is going to get spotted out by a ward. Choose knowing approximately the range. Staying out of it. We can hear the slingshot charging.
He's grunting quite loudly.
We can hear that in our ears there.
Carbon was also ready for the counter gank if it came to it. It's unlikely that they wanted it though.
Chippy and Tally's at odds right now. The Ignite. We didn't even mention that Ignite
first
teleport.
problem is you have Ignite. Tally's got enough mana that he could kill Chippies here, so that Ignite actually changed that trade.
Yeah.
In Tally's favor. They are probably both going to recall. The question is, will Sybil actually do something now that he is topside and Tally is overextended with the teleport? Will they try and make a play, perhaps?
Positioning says they will.
The answer is yes.
Sybil making his way through. Tally with no flash only. Playful tricks are available. Might be enough though. Sybil, he's going to be taking that one. Flashes with the unstable matter and gets the kill. The passive popped. But that is a net gain for Direwolves, picking up first blood. Yeah,
and the only thing that the Direwolves lose realistically is the blob. The teleport was always going to be used, and it's really just gold in that pocket now for Chippies and for Sybil in particular. Very well executed to get themselves that first kill.
The Syndra getting closer and closer to level 6 here. Fantix just can't trade right now. The exhaust has been used. Here comes Kuden, goes for the flash, predicts it so well. The ignite is down. Here comes Sybil. Doesn't get the double knockup, but here comes the teleport in. Sybil has no passive, remember, so Carbon should be able to kill this one away. Blocked by Fantix. Gets the kill, but here is Chippies and Raze. There's 5 members in the mid lane already. Flash, W, heal, and stun. They get the kill. A lot of some of the spells expended though.
Direwolves bite back with authority. They just grouped up as a team at 6 minutes in this game to actually gank the middle lane and make Chu's life miserable. He was the carry in that last game, so to say the least, it's the right decision. But wow, that was aggressive.
That was one of the earliest I've seen 5 members in the mid in a long, long time, Rusty. It started just with Kuden wanting to make a play, that all of a sudden Sybil, Chippies, and Raze was there. They take out Choose and they take out Carbon.
Yeah, and the Wolves bite back massively in game number 2. So, as we said, you know, it's the Direwolves curse and buff all the same. Somehow they always lose game number 1. They do come back in a number 2 and they're never tilted. Never tilted. And that's important.
That's an excellent advantage to have never being tilted, because can be quite detrimental once the fatigue sets in. You're already feeling bad about game 1 going into game 2. You've got to keep your hopes high. We're seeing Direwolves doing just that as Carbon. A bit of fancy feet here. Should be able to just quick draw out of this one.
He's fighting Sybil.
Wants to go for this one. Doing a lot of damage. Here comes Tally over the wall. Chippies in a world of hurt. The Rift Herald doing what it can. The flash comes out. Tally with no flash of his own. Fantix.
The blue card of dreams.
Might want to go for something here. Everyone raise your blue cards up. No gold card for Fantix today.
Yeah, the Reginald this time around. Not going to be enough for Fantix to secure any further damage, but that was aggressive from Carbon, and it's something that he'll always do. If you're the aggressor, Carbon will meet you and best you at your own game. With Zach once again having that passive unavailable, hurts him. It just keeps happening. He's, yeah. They're going to meet each other. It's going to continue to fight.
Ooh, the stun narrowly avoided there by Fantix. Remember, Choo-Choo's is level 6. He has his ultimate available.
The other cool thing as well about this is you have to look at his item. And what you do is just before you level up, you expend mana and just like burst him out. So if he's close to 7, could be a smart move.
Well, they've got the ultimate in. Not going to be enough as Sybil was there, forcing Choo-Choo's to go back. Elastic Slingshot, look at the range. The slow does land. Not enough damage to make it matter though.
Yeah, so high burst from Choose, and that's the name of the game, obviously, in this matchup, knowing that Fantix has no summoner spells. Sybil's at the right place at the right time, though. And now these two are going at it once again.
Shark's not available just yet, but here comes Carbon. Should be an easy kill as Carbon picks that one up for Team Legacy. Direwolves still ahead, but it's not by that much. Only 200 gold. 4 kills to 3, favoring Direwolves this time around.
And this game's become a big jungle battle. This is the best way to look at it. Carbon has the kills. Sybil has the kills. They're just going head-to-head, constantly meeting each other. The fights that are even hitting the top laners are, generally speaking, just collateral. The last one, except for that top lane gank, was a Herald. Which was interesting.
Haven't really seen a lot out of these bot lanes yet, as you mentioned. The Legacy, they do have a very reactive bot lane. Minky Whale, going to be doing just that.
This is why you don't eat minions.
That's why you don't eat minions. You're exactly right. We can see why. As King takes way too much damage.
Dove. They're getting Dove anyway.
Yeah, Twisted Fate making his way in. The Devour is up, but once again, Fantix. Not sure if he used a gold card then, was devoured.
Yeah, the gold card got devoured by Minky Whale, but King also used his heal, so a big mistake and miscommunication in the bottom lane of Legacy.
Might not be over yet as Sybil. Charging that Elastic Slingshot is going to cancel at the last second though.
Carbon's also nearby this time around, so there's dangers involved with re-diving a lane. You don't fall for the same trick twice.
Another missed stun out of Choo-Choo's Fantix. Doing a good job of not dying to the all-in potential that Syndra brings to the table here.
Yeah, and obviously to answer the question in regards to item builds, he has to go Morello's with the, I think it's a Lost Book.
Lost chapters?
You know what? It's a book that's missing. Something's missing from the book.
The name of the book by the sound of it.
Help!
We see Minky Whale and King doing what they can to exert any pressure. They did have to go back, but this time around in the standard lanes, King being the authority here. Up about 10 CS, despite all the attention that Direwolves just exerted in the bot lane.
Yeah, and the kill will even it out, obviously, between the two. There's Froskurin. Don't know who that is.
She says, if Legacy win here, I'm 100% on my I am OPL predictions for the week. No dunk for Frosco.
It's week 1 of 10 Froskurin. That's what I'm saying.
You got to small victories, Rusty.
Yes. Doesn't mean she won't get dunked, because naturally, the OPL final, whoever gets the most wrong will get dunked. And as I say, 1 week out of 10, she can't get Raptors.
He's trying
That's cool.
his best.
It resets aggro if you W it.
Nifty. Planned all along.
Not really.
Of course not.
Yes, Froskurin, good luck, I will say, as an end result to that. There's 9 more weeks for you to get your predictions wrong. We'll see who gets dunked.
It is going to be a sight to behold. As we see the Chippies and Sybil, a sight to behold right here, taking away that Rift Herald, while Legacy, they've got themselves the Infernal Drake here.
Yeah, so trading big objectives across the map. Chippies will be the only benefactor of the single buff in his fights against Tally. But the whole team benefits from having the Infernal Drake, so naturally, you would say that trade favors Legacy. Oh, so many fires.
Looks like Carbon hanging around a little bit. See if they can get anything more on this bot lane, but it's very, very hard to dive an Alistair.
Yes.
They're not going to want to ruin what they've got going right now.
It's unrealistic to consider diving. They just want to farm, they want to pressure under the turret, maybe force CS to be missed by Raze, potentially zone him where appropriate. King can play forward once again because Minky can eat him if Kuden combos. As long as Minky stays out of range of the combo, then they're sitting pretty.
Damage has already been dealt there, Minky. A little bit late on the W, but Raze finding advantages where he can.
He's a bit rusty.
Bit rusty.
Oh, God. That's it. That's what I meant.
Looks like Fantix, he has got himself that blue buff in the mid lane. Did just wear off. As we see these bot lanes once again, Raze doing what he can to get the damage in before Minky Whale's Devour can go down. But 13 minutes in the game, still about 1,000 gold lead in favor of Direwolves right now. No towers have fallen for either team.
Yeah, and still, it's because we're playing the jungle game. We've got 3 kills under the Graves, 2 kills under the Zac. And when it comes to actually executing and getting things done around the map, if Carbon's holding mid lane, there's no way for him to look for turrets. Zac also has had a rough time actually getting those ganks to be successful. As you can see him doing the exact same thing in the bottom lane.
Both teams just really relying on their junglers to make things happen, but the great vision going to be denying anything further.
Yeah, both teams playing with enough caution and enough expectations of their opponents. Nobody underestimating, everybody doing exactly what is required of them, and it's good to see.
Looks like Twisted Fate has finished off his Abyssal Scepter and has the makings of the Lichbane. Well, of course, on the side of Choo-Choo's going to be going for that Morella Nomicon. Keep that mana high, keep that ability power high as well. It's like Sybil and Chippy's making their way to this mid lane. Chippy's gone for the Ravenous Hydra here as well.
Yeah, he's gone for the split push Trundle build, something we've actually seen a few times now. We're looking at this new patch.
Oh,
There's damage though.
Carbon.
Delicate battle with Twisted Fate and gold cards. There's 2 selections for him to go towards, but hit the wrong one, he'd die. The other interesting thing as well, we touched on this last game with Fizz as the mid laner for Fantix, but Abyssal Scepter giving cooldown reduction. Once again, a very valuable item now for Twisted Fate, who we used to see go Lucidity.
Carbon might be in a little bit of trouble here. The ultimate has blocked him off, but Choo-Choo's going to get taken. Damaged by the tower. Carbon falls. very aggressive.
Aggressive, but also twisted fate, just being a champion in League of Legends. So the way that he forced the pathing was towards Choose, but very awkwardly towards Choose. What Carbon could have done is flash the wall and potentially found himself in a better position for it. Pays for it, though, with his life by greedily not using Summoner Spell.
It is unfortunate to see. You mentioned just how prevalent the junglers have been in this game. A good stun out of Choo Choo's may have just saved his life.
Yeah, Kuden was still looking aggressively. Speaking of aggressively.
Tally, he's got no flash, remember. He did opt for that ignite. Still very risky to die the Fizz.
Yeah. It's actually, like, think about it, wasted time by the Zac.
Well, here comes Kuden.
Unless they three-man dive
They
this.
really want this. He's booking it out of there. Going to be able
Tally.
to queue through. There is Sybil. No knock-up just yet. He's going to get himself out of this one as Raze gets dived in the bot lane. One more auto attack should do it as King secures himself that one.
And Tally lives top lane easily. He just completely styled on three members of the Direwolves by himself as Fizz.
And
No flash, doesn't matter.
And look at those three champions. Zac, Trundle, and Alistar. That's not something you can easily walk away from.
Yeah, I mean, the best part is he used his Playful Trickster early.
Yeah,
Like,
at the
he
start.
didn't regard that as the option. He actually used the Q to dodge the Alistar Pulverize and distance himself far enough from Zac. So, all things considered, very impressively done from the top laner of Legacy. And, of course, the simultaneous fight that happened in the bottom lane. Set up very well by Minkyu and King.
So Choo Choo's might be in a little bit of trouble here. Does get knocked
Kuden.
far away, though, Kuden.
You've made a mistake.
Ooh.
You've made a big mistake, sir. That's a very awkward situation. Don't really know what to tell you
That's
there.
why he's a Soraka main, Rusty.
Is it?
It could be. That type of stuff could be
I
game-changing.
think from this point onwards, he might be a Soraka main again.
Relegated back to that Soraka, but unfortunately missing out on what would have been a free kill onto Choo Choo's. This game is on a knife's edge still. Legacy able to wrought the gold back into their favor, but it's very, very small at this stage. Still only about 500 gold separate these two teams. 5 kills apiece, a tower apiece. It's quite an... It's like insanely even, Rusty.
It is even, absolutely, but we have to think about the invisible power that people have right now. And Legacy with that first Infernal Drake and with the second one available in 30 seconds are actually in the better position. The jungler's got a bit more farm, the mid laner has a bit more farm, as does the AD carry. Fizz is always going to be relevant against that Trundle, not necessarily in the 1v1, but more so when the team fights break out. So Legacy, if they can team fight, I would say are in a better position right now and more set up for success. If they get this second Infernal Drake, which is about to spawn, then I would say that Legacy are definitely in the favorite position to win this game.
Yeah, they're feeling really good about this plan as Kuden not forced to burn the ultimate. No flash available, so we won't be seeing any insane engages coming out just yet as Legacy trying their best to set up here.
The Scuttle Crab, they just completely disregarded it. Dragon always going to be there. Direwolf's actually showing a lot of attention to it. Rightly so. Problem is, Tally's going to get free time top lane.
He's got his Ignite available once again. It's going to be hard for Chippies to even think about 1v1ing this guy.
Yes and no. And Chippy's naturally is going to be able to 1v1 anybody, given his build as Fantix.
Yep. Destiny has been played. Where is he going to go? Looks like he's got his sights set on Choose in the bot lane. The exhaust is also there. Raze gets taken super low. Tally going to answer that one with the Urchin Strike. The Shark has been used onto Fantix. They've got their sights set. The collateral damage does go wide. It shouldn't matter as Carbon picks up that one. So a 2-for-1 in favor of Legacy as King. Maybe you've started the Dragon a little bit premature here.
And once again, we have to look at teleport locations. Direwolves, their Trundle doesn't get where he needs to be. Tally, on the other hand, the perfect place at the perfect time, and it's something that we've always questioned about Legacy's top laners. He does everything well in laning. He team fights exceptionally, but you don't look at this guy and say his teleports have always been on point. That was a good step, though, for Legacy, because Choose, even though he goes down immediately, does the damage that is required of him, and it's backed up by his team.
That was through exhaust as well. Sybil, though, with a massive 3-man ultimate, followed up by the Alistar, but look, they can just not contest right now without Raze.
Yeah, walking into Legacy without your carries available means that you've got a lot of crowd control.
And that's about it.
That you don't really have damage. It's like an actual bouncing castle.
Well, Zac, the bouncing castle champion himself. They do defend the tower, though.
They do.
So You've got to take your victories where you can.
Small victory. Big deal is that 2 Infernals have in fact been taken though. That's 16%.
Wow.
Bonus AD and AP. From this point onwards, it's an immediately actionable thing. Which means that every single item that Legacy get that gives you ability power or attack damage makes you infinitely stronger. Well, not infinitely, 16%. Just makes you stronger, alright?
Well, that's the point we're trying to make here. So we see Choo Choo's once again in that mid lane up against Fantix. Haven't seen Choo Choo's just blow anyone up yet, which is what I was expecting out of the Syndra, so a bit sad about that here.
Yeah, definitely. The Abyssal Scepter's still going to be quite handy for him, though. Reduces the amount of people around him. Once that third item actually comes through, however, for Choo Choo's, he'll be one-hitting everybody except the tanks. Still does a lot of damage to them, though. And we'll see what actually he goes towards. There's the possibility that, like, he can forego the death cap. I would suggest Zhonya's personally, right?
Sure.
To get out of the Twisted Fate, but because he's gone Abyssal for resistance, maybe even avoid stuff, simply because he has 2 Infernal Drakes.
That makes a lot of sense.
16% bonus AP could actually add up to being a lot. And you have the Void stuff for the resistance penetration.
Be interesting to see what his decision-making process will be, especially when you factor in, like you said, the 2 Infernal Drakes for Legacy. They've grouped up 3 members topside here as Tally
is going to get dope.
We've seen what happens when these dives come through. It shouldn't be too much of an issue here. The Twisted Fate is also on his way down. He's focused onto Sybil, who has the passive available, so should be a very dead Tally.
Yeah, they do get the passive from the Zac. The turret will fall. But you have to remember the trades that are happening on the opposite side of the map. There's a reason that Fantix is recalling with haste, and this is it.
A lot of damage down onto this top inner. King doing what he can.
And
Choose getting that mid. When Fantix goes walkabouts, there is Choose to just take down the tower without seconds notice. But Chippy's just wailing away on this one up here.
Yeah, remember he's got the Rift Herald buff to him, so the corruption stacks are putting in overtime on that turret, as does Chippy's every time that he taints that ground that is underneath him.
Yeah,
very easy take.
No one there to contest him as they had their own priorities laid out. Looks like Minky Whale going in here. They want to find Fantix. The Tongue Lash not going to land.
He's quick.
Yeah, he's got Mobies, not Mobies, sorry, Swifties and Lich Bane.
Now it's going to be very hard to catch that Twisted Fate, but they push him away from the middle lane. Nothing really to take on the map here except perhaps that blue buff. Remember, we discussed this yesterday. 15% bonus ability power is a lot. And it's something that's worth considering, especially if we're playing the percentage game. Yes. 2 Infernal Drakes, 1 blue buff. You know what? 2% from your offense tree as well. Let's go all in.
Raze does get tagged by the Tongue Lashes. 4 members of Direwolves have made their way down this mid lane tower. King, very aggressive arcane shift.
He's got the Tahm Kench. That's the thing. He can play like this now, reckless, but with complete accountability to Minky.
I love it when people have been playing with champions long enough that they know that what they can get away with, based not just solely based on their kit, but based on the kit that their teammates also bring to the table.
Also knowing that Minky can be trusted as a support that isn't actually their support, just filling in for the team right now. Direwolves need to actually start pulling this game back, though, because every time they've made a play with the Twisted Fate, not only has he not gotten the kills, which is really unfortunate because they need him to be a big damage dealer for the team, but Legacy have traded. If they continue to trade these dragons, it's going to start to look worse and worse as the game goes on.
Minute 15 left on that Mountain Drake. Let's see how Direwolves plan to play this one. Some good ults out of Fantix, but like you mentioned, they are trading every single time, so Legacy just not phased by it. And another ulti once again. King, he's going to have to Arcane Shift out of that one. The teleport is there for Tally. He's got the ultimates down onto Fantix. Here comes Choo Choo's. It looks like he wants to take out Fantix, blowing his own ultimate on that one. Chippy's, he is just a one-man army at this stage. It's not going to matter. Those Legacy take him out, and now they have their sights set on the bot lane inner and the Dragon.
And so King distances himself unreasonably far from the team there with that E and the flash combo together. Well done from King to survive, and also well done from Legacy to get themselves the second kill onto Chippies, who was looking menacing and almost taking out Choose throughout that. A lot burnt, I will say, though, to ensure that Chippies dies and that Choose doesn't, as these guys are just going to hit each other in the face.
Carbon is doing a lot of damage right now.
Yeah, he
He's
also
feeling
doesn't care that they're
very
all there.
confident about his positioning. Minky Whale is there, and
Look
I
at
love Carbon. He just shows no fear at all.
I'll see your damage and I'll raise you not a single care that you're dealing it. Great.
Looks like they do get that bot lane inner turret. Now they're making their way down to the Dragon. It has been started by the likes of Carbon and Minky Whale King. Going to be lending a hand to finish that one off. That's a third Dragon of the game going.
Look at the Syndra Fizz
across the
as
Legacy.
well on the map.
Oh, wow.
Hello, Fantix.
They just can't get in at all. Well, Fantix, his health bar starting to drop.
Oh, okay. Sybil's now in trouble as well, to be fair.
No, well, Fantix is dead. And now Sybil's surely going to follow. He's got no passive, remember. He died bot lane before. He is going to get taken out by the red buff. Kuden doing what he can, but now he's the one who's in trouble. Flash available. Flashes over the wall here. Minky Whale going in with Abyssal Voyage. Got his sight set. One Tongue Lash could be enough, but they call it quits after that one. And
They
got
want
their
the
sight
Baron.
set on the Baron.
Yeah, so they go for the big objective now. They get themselves multiple picks. Sybil dead, the jungler with Smite dead, and Fantix completely caught out through
Teleport.
vision control.
Kuden doing what he can. It's not going to matter, though, as Legacy have picked up that Baron. Now they're going to pick up some kills to follow. Chippy's force a flash. Kuden gets stunned. Raze gets stunned. Carbon really coming up clutch here. If he can get that red buff on, it might be enough. He's looking for something. No summoner spells available on the side of him, where he surely would have flash ordered there.
Yeah, Legacy unfortunately are out of mana after the amount of fighting they have done in the past 2 minutes. The next dragon's going to be an Infernal as well, so we're looking at the Volcano Dragon combo. There's a lot of fires and a lot of mountains put together, you get it? Yeah, Volcano, nice. Legacy absolutely in the driver's seat. This is an even more commanding performance than the last game that we saw them take out the Direwolves with.
Yeah, they really got their act together for this game. We saw them maybe slip up mid-game last time, but besides maybe a few good ultimates by Fantix, they were always able to answer with an advantage of their own. And the third Infernal Drake is on the way here, Rusty.
Absolutely. It's pretty far away, thankfully. They just got the Baron buff as well as having a Mountain Drake. And
they're feeling good.
already having the 2 fires, so they've scaled. Legacy are doing an abundance of damage. Choo-Choos did go for that Void Staff, so nailed it. Almost like I played.
Well, Choo-Choo does get caught out a little bit here under the turret. Minky Whale in the perfect position to get him out of there. Carbon takes out Kuden with a beautiful ultimate.
Yeah, and once again, we're seeing the Alistar-Zac combination do a lot of damage and absolutely cause havoc for Choo-Choos, who is a low mobility carry. But Tahm comes up clutch, and the fact that there is no damage to back up that combo because they're not able to get close enough. Carbon's a big threat every single time. King is actually a big frontline threat because he's working his way towards the backline and pushing them out.
Yeah, Legacy, they are just running away with this push right now. The third tower, that is 2 in the mid, 1 in the top, and an inhibitor to follow. 10,000 gold in the lead. It felt like a few minutes ago we were saying 500. But Legacy, give them an inch, give them a finger, they'll take your arm. They're doing so well right now.
Absolutely impressive performance. Legacy in game number 2 after already being 1 up against the Direwolves. And remember, we alluded to this being a semi-final rematch of very recent times. And Minky Whale subbing in, but still, they look amazing.
Yeah, they're playing this game impeccably right now. It's very hard to fault them. There's not a lot you can do against a roaming TF except push down and hope for the best, and Choo-Choos did just that.
Yeah.
Minky Whale playing a very nice Tahm Kench, always in position to get anyone out of strife should they find themselves in need of a friendly frog monster.
So we have to look at what Direwolves can actually do, though, right, in this game, because they don't want to lose the game, obviously. There needs to be a strategy for them to implement. And aside from Chippy's being a split-pushing monster, which Trundle's working towards, they need Fantix to do the same thing in the opposite lane. If they can actually organize themselves with a 1-3-1 and keep Raze, Kuden, and Sybil in a happy place, usually just farming that middle lane you would assume, then Legacy are actually kind of not able to respond to that. You have to remember that Choo-Choos has gone for the Ignite in the middle lane, so he doesn't have the teleport. Speaking
Could be the fight they're looking for. They've got their sights set onto Choo-Choos, but is it going to be enough as Minky Whale? He flashes over. That's 4 members, 5 actually for Direwolves, and they are in full retreat as King and Minky Whale come through. Carbon unstoppable right now as he just takes out the likes of Chippy's on the back. He's got his sights set on Sybil. Alistar was taken down. The Bloblets should be easy enough game for the big game hunter that is Carbon right now. Does for the BM reload, allows him to reform.
Oh my god, Carbon, you calm down.
Well, looks like this could be well and truly game right now, ladies and gentlemen, as Legacy, 4 members down for Direwolves. Legacy pushing every single lane. They've got their sights set on a clean 2-0 right now.
Yeah, plenty of time left on the board for Legacy. And it does look like they're going to be able to take this one out. You'd assume if they decide to. There you go.
Trying to die to the fountain like he did last time. This game, Minky says, no, I will not let you. Another kill goes over to Choo Choo's, taking out Kuda. That Alistar getting ripped like paper.
Yeah, and 7-18, a 30-minute victory this time around for Legacy. They speed the pace of the game up, and even the average game time today has been reduced by a large margin. So Legacy actually looking quite impressive in their first game back in the OPL.
It's very hard to fault anything they did that game. Every single decision they made for the correct reasons. Every reaction they did was the correct one. Fantix, he tried to make plays all over the map, but it didn't matter because Choo Choo's, he knows what he needs to do and he gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally you'd see a couple of positional mistakes, but overall they cover it really well.
Alrighty, guys, that's it for us, the casters. We're going to chuck it back to the desk to round out the night.
Thanks, Rogi. In the end, it is Legacy picking up a 2-0 victory there over the Direwolves. And, you know, you can call it whatever you want, clean, clinical. But at the end of the day, that's just a Legacy lineup playing at their best, pulling another team across the map and completely dismantling them piece by piece.
That's the big thing that I really want to highlight is not only did Legacy play it almost perfectly from a micro standpoint, just their individual mechanics and player performance, especially Carbon that game. But like you said, their macro performance, this is the Legacy that dominated the OPL last split. Unfortunately, weren't able to finish first in that grand final against the Chiefs, but looking clean as ever.
I'm just going to take a word that you just said there, clinical, coming from Legacy. They played it flawlessly almost. They played to their strengths fantastically as well. And they did make a couple of mistakes here and there. I'd like to see if they can clean that up a little bit. Clean that up once again and coming into their next games next week. But I was really impressed by the way they played. Yeah,
it certainly was. And, you know, I think hats off to Minky Whale. Really has to be thrown props there. You know, regret not playing with the team. Minky Whale steps in, has a beautiful performance. With that in mind, guys, let's take a look at the week's results. It was Chiefs taking down Sin 2-0 first up before Abyss Esports made their splash against Hellions. Tainted Minds tonight kicked us off with a win over Avant-Garde 2-1 in about a 3-hour series before Legacy absolutely destroyed the Direwolves. And that leaves us with these standings. It will be Legacy and the Chiefs once again at the top of the table. Abyss and Tainted Minds just behind them. Avant, Direwolves, Sin and Hellions all looking for their first win. And they'll do that next week as we take a look at the schedule ahead. It is going to be another couple of nights of OPL matches. Hellions versus Legacy kick us off Monday night, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Abyss Esports will take on Direwolves, and then Tuesday night it will be Tainted Minds taking on their old sister team in the form of the Chiefs Esports Club. That is our OPL Legend match before Avant-Garde will round us out against Sin. As always, guys, one last reminder for the night. Tickets go on sale this Friday, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for the OPL Grand Final in Vegas, Queensland. That's enough from us today on the Analyst Desk. Thank you on behalf of myself, Frosker and Fish, the entire broadcast crew. Of course, Rogi and Rusty. We'll catch you next week for some more OPL action.